Hey everybody, it is your old pal Simply Super Dave, and I'm sorry I didn't get to it last night, so here we are kicking off this morning with number 6 in Dave's Top 10 Movies of All Time. Oh yeah, I said this one was going to be a modern kind of film because most of mine are throwbacks. I know I'm almost 50, so obviously my movies are going to have meaning to a different era than most people, so you'll be like, this is a hokey top 10 list. No, it isn't. Seriously, if you watch the film, you would understand why it is in a top 10 list at all, and why it is my top 10 list. So number 6 has earned its spot deeply, and if you know who I am and why this movie would be there, you would actually probably pick a different one if you knew me that well, but I would explain why I didn't. And the movie is Avengers Endgame. Yes. Look, I don't care what Martin Scorsese or fucking anybody else has to say about the superhero genre. I don't really give a shit. And I'll tell you why. I totally respect Martin Scorsese to the point where I would tell him, are you fucking kidding me right now? Because he owns the mafia genre. You know, Goodfellas, the list really goes. I don't want to get into it because that's not the pick. Avengers Endgame is the defining moment of a superhero genre that was imagined by that kid. I used to grow up sitting in my grandmother's bed as a kid. I was raised by my grandparents. And so to calm me down every night, we didn't have a TV in the back bedroom or anything like that. I would get in my grandmother's back bed and I would read comic books every night. And that is a basis of who I am as a kid. So growing up, I remember in junior high, I remember reading my comic book magazine. It was about comic book issues, like movies that are going to come out and stuff like that. And there was an article, and I was dreamed and imagined about it. And you see it on Twitter now. If you actually are interested in Spider-Man at all, then you knew James Cameron had an opportunity to make a movie, back in the mid-90s, maybe early 90s, but it didn't go that way. And I think this was like right after or before Terminator 2. I can't remember which. So I think, but either way, it would have been amazing to see a James Cameron envision Spider-Man. Long story short, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, all of them, they never could achieve what a true comic book fan wanted to see on the silver screen. And the closest we've ever really got was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And then we got Amazing Spider-Man. And then Sony just couldn't quite pull it together, no matter what they did. And then finally, Kevin Feige, I think, is the central piece. Even though he was part of all that before, even the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. If you go back and look, Kevin has always had his finger in things, which is why Spider-Man Homecoming, not Homecoming, but No Way Home, it was an amazing masterpiece in itself just for creating a multiverse. But Avengers Endgame, why this one? Why is this in my top? Why is Titanic not in my top 10, but Avengers Endgame? I get a lot of slack for Titanic not making the top 10. But I would still pick True Romance as my number 10 spot. I would not change that right now. But going back to Avengers Endgame, it was too many climactic moments in this movie that comes from a storytelling starting with a movie called Iron Man. And throughout several and multiple films and different characters and cool things like stay tuned for the credits. You got people to stay till the very end of the film and watch the credits just because you added some genius little ploy to tease what you want to see in the next film, to make you thirsty for the next film. They pulled it off. I've never seen anybody, I don't know why they've never done it before. And they brought to life a comic book universe before my very eyes. It was almost like watching Lord of the Rings the first time. And everybody's like, well, there's a top 10 miss. Yes, you're right. Lord of the Rings. I would have to admit, that would be a nice honorable mention. That should actually probably be in the spot. But because I am a kid and I grew up on comic books, sorry. Whenever Captain America finally says, Avengers Assemble, that moment has been built up enough to where that was a moment worthy enough to make that a top spot for me. But they go a step further with Captain America picking up Thor's hammer, for God's sakes. Whenever that happens, I think literally goosebumps every time. I never get tired of it. Never get tired of it. The climactic story arc for Iron Man in this movie, the importance of every role, everybody, the ultimate villain to have at this point so far. I don't know. It's going to be hard to top Thanos. They really did pull off quite the amazing storytelling. Found the right directors, the right visions. Even made the Captain America. I mean, I love Captain America so much more because of the storytelling they did through the Marvel Universe. And as hokey, as funny as it's gotten, they started with a purpose. They kept it true. And even though I think the Endgame was the climactic ending, you couldn't appreciate that movie unless you've seen every other one up to that point. So if you just watched Endgame without seeing every other film before it, you would not appreciate all those moments I probably just described, because you haven't been teased enough about it. But if you did, and then you saw Endgame, then it was just like the perfect ending, even though it's not really an ending. But you know what I mean. It's definitely worthy. It was the culmination of the superhero genre existing today. And why I have to say Martin Scorsese, just fucking suck it up. It's okay. It's just a different genre of movies for people to watch. You don't get mad because they still make Westerns, do you? By the way, Tombstone is the best Western of all time. Debate me about that one. But back to the point, that is going to be the number 6 spot, as a controversial spot as it may be in my own little mind. As you can hear me debate among myself here about this spot. I care about movies so much that I do wonder if I'm going to pay for this down the road. But I'm going to stick with Avengers Endgame as my number 6 spot. Oh, that takes us halfway through the list, folks. We're about to get to the 5 really good ones. And the one I don't have any qualms about, but I do decide from time to time which ranking spot they hold. It's been a while since a movie has been able to even get in this top 10 list. So I want to give Endgame its props, because over time, movies become iconic. And I think what they did from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame is something we'll never see in movie history again. It was a tremendous, wonderful ride. And I look forward to what happens from here on out in the Marvel Universe. But the true honest, I don't know if you can top all that. Okay, folks, number 5 is going to be coming up tomorrow. And maybe later on tonight I'll give you a double dip for the day, since I missed last night anyway. Look forward to the episode later on today. And if you have any topic suggestions, like I said, follow me on Twitter and hit me up and let me know what you think, And remember, A little love and laughter conquer hate and fear every day. So go be a conqueror. Don't be a victim. Have a wonderful Saturday.